Okay, hey, how's it going? I was going to do this earlier, but something weird was happening with the internet. It was like I was only getting 1 megabit per second. Weird. It was like something was really dragging it down. I don't want to be all like paranoid here and think I'm being hit with some sort of DDoS or something like that. That'd be crazy. Why DDoS little old me? Why DDoS little old me? What am I doing? Right? But today I realized that someone named Ethan Ralph, we all know who he is, been following me. He's been paying attention to me. I don't know. So I guess I'm not the David I thought I was. But he's the Goliath, picking on little old me. Is that what's going on here? Did he, I mean, is the Gunt capable of doing a DDoS attack? Or is it somebody else doing a false flag? So that I would blame him. I don't know. But that's not going to stop me from saying what I need to say here. So once again, I'm going to do another one of these CPS insider streams. Now, when I do these videos, these streams, I'm not intending for people who are doing bad things with their kids. People that are abusive and actually abusive and neglectful with their children. I'm not intending for them to use this information. This information is really to just inform you as families what you should know. And it's really information that you are able to get if you go to like the Department of Family Protection Services website here in Texas anyway. And I should also say the information I'm telling you here is coming from the perspective of someone who worked for CPS, Child Protective Services, in the state of Texas. So everything I'm talking about is going to be pertaining to that. So if you're in a different state, what I'm telling you may not even matter. It may not pertain to you, may not be applicable, whatever. And also keep in mind that policy changes. What I'm telling you now, a couple months from now, it may not really be the same. Maybe something changed. Maybe a new law passed, usually, I guess, restricting what CPS can do or changing the way they do things. Okay. So we're going to chill. We're going to have kind of a relaxed conversation about the previous stream. I talked about what you should do when you get that call from CPS, Child Protective Services. Now we're going to talk about really, what is that interview like with your child? Okay. What's going on with a CPS interview when a CPS is talking with your kids? What is going on there? And I think every parent has the right to know this. Every parent definitely has the right to ask questions and try to understand what's going on. When I look at this, I did CPS work, investigating work for 7 years. I was an investigator for 7 years, and throughout the whole process, every time I would speak with a child, I would always have the approach that, look, I'm a complete stranger doing this. I'm a complete stranger. This person has never seen me before. First time seeing me. I don't want to be scary. I don't want to be. I want to be as chill and cool and calm as possible. Non-threatening, all that. And also, my approach with the parents, I let them know. Because here's the thing. Here's what you got to know. It is legal for Child Protective Services to speak with your kids without asking you. They don't have to ask you if they can speak with your kids. If they're at school. If they're at school or daycare. And some will say, but what about private schools? Man, like that, I guess you're going to have to, because private schools, if they're receiving funding by the state, which sometimes they do, and they're being, if they're receiving funding by the state, then they're going to be they're going to cooperate. They're probably just going to cooperate. Now, though, I've heard about in certain counties where a judge has actually said otherwise, that no, private school CPS should not have gone there. Like I said, too, even though I worked in CPS, Child Protective Services in the state of Texas, what I'm telling you may not even really apply in your particular county, depending on how the judge sees the law. Okay? All right. So, for the most part, generally speaking. Yeah, if the child's at school, the parent, the CPS worker does not have to ask you permission to go see the kids. They're going to go see the kids first. If it's a traditional case, if it's a traditional investigation, they're going to go see the kids first. And I talked to you in the previous stream. How do you know if it's a traditional investigation? What's going on there? You'll know based on the phone call. Okay, if you get a phone call and they tell you, my name is so and so, I'm letting you know there's an alternative response case. All right, what's going to happen there is they're going to talk with you guys first, usually. But I say you guys, I mean the family, and then they'll ask to speak with the kids privately. Okay. Now, in a traditional investigation, they're going to speak with the kids. They're going to speak with the kids at school. Okay, if they can, if the child's at school, or if it's not summertime or something else, so some other factor. The reason why they do that is because, dude, first off, you make the contact immediately. There's no one to stop you. You don't have to worry about knocking on the door and getting through a parent and all that stuff. It's right there, and schools comply. Schools, I mean, that they're obligated to. They're required to. There's no resistance whatsoever. It's complete. It's complete. Okay, yeah, just come on in. Show the badge. All right. Here's the child. Now, what is that interview like? What's going on there? Well, I'm a parent, so I talk to the kids the way I would want someone to talk to my kids if they had to be in that situation, and hopefully they never have to be in that situation. So I try to be happy, try to be nice, and I let them know, look, I have to talk to you because there's some concerns, okay, and some people are just kind of worried about what's going on. And I let them know, my name's so-and-so. I work for Child Protective Services. Do you know what that is? They say yes, or they say no. Okay. Making small talk. And then I go, okay, and this is required, okay. The CPS worker will record that interview. They will record the interview. They are required to record that interview. They do not have to ask for consent of the child to record it. In the state of Texas, is a one-party consent state. Is that how we word it? Where they don't have to ask for the child's permission. They can. It is something that's recommended at times, but they don't have to. So they'll hit the record button, and they use Odyssey, or not Odyssey, Audacity. They use Audacity. So you hit the record button, and the first thing you do is, you say, my name is blank blank. I work for Child Protective Services. It's the date, time. You give the date, you give the timestamp, you put everything there. You explain where you are and who you are interviewing. I always get them to say their name. I was like, I'm speaking with, what's your name? And they'll say their name. Okay. All right. Let's say Timmy Smith. Okay. All right, Timmy Smith. Do you know the difference between a truth and a lie? Do you know the difference between that? And they'll say yes, or they say no, or they may nod. Okay. Now, in that situation, what you're doing there is you're establishing whether or not they know the difference between a truth or a lie. If they know that, right? The parameters. There's what you're establishing. Truth and lie parameters. And you give them a little example. They in training they give you certain ways to do it. I just try to be. I use this part to kind of build rapport and kind of make the setting, the situation a little bit more comfortable by just asking them, hey, what's something you like to do for fun? So now we're shifting gears to talk about what they want to do for fun, what they like to do for fun, play video games, play basketball, like to draw, like to read, like to listen to music. And I may ask some questions related to that. And if there's a part where I can make some lame dad joke or some stupid thing like, oh, Fortnite, people still play that game? Or Minecraft, people still, it's some silly thing to, make them laugh. I'll do that. But what I'm doing there is I'm just kind of helping build just relax them a bit. Get them relaxed where they'll be comfortable to talk. And then I bring it back to the truth and lie parameter and be like, okay. So you said, you know the difference between a truth and a lie. And, we talked about what you like to do for fun. So if I were to say that Timmy Smith doesn't like Fortnite, would that be true? And be like, no, exactly. And, with this, let me back up a little bit. This kind of depends on the age of the child, how this interview is going to go. If the child's like 3, can't really say many words, can say some words, you're probably not going to get them very well. You're not going to get very far. And you're also going to have to try to you might have a difficult time getting through the barrier, like they might be a little bit more on defense just because of stranger danger, not really because of anything going on in the house necessarily. Might be just stranger danger stuff. Anyway, and if it's like a 5-year-old or 6-year-old, 7-year-old, they are very talkative. They can be very talkative, and you'll get some interesting answers. In this part, when you ask them, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so after you establish the truth and lie stuff, what they're going to do then, and hopefully, I'm assuming the worker will try to make things comfortable too. What they'll do then is they will try to get the family dynamics or the family breakdown, really. Who's all in the home? Who's your mom? Who's your dad? Who's your mom? What does your mom do? Does your mom work? Your mom doesn't work? Okay. What is your mom doing? When you're at home on a weekend, what is your mom doing? Is she there? Okay. What is she doing when she's there? All right. Who else is in the home? Who's your dad? Do you know your dad? Some kids don't even know their dad. Some families, there's like multiple dads, Who's your dad? What does he do? Is he involved in... Do you live with siblings? You have because sometimes you don't have all the kids that are actually in the home on the intake. So another thing the caseworker will do is ask, hey, what about the other kids? Are there other kids in the home? And oftentimes you'll find out that, you thought there was one child on the intake. You thought there was going to be, you thought this case wasn't going to take a whole lot of time for, interviews. Thought wrong. Think again. That child, Timmy Smith, just revealed that he has a brother and a sister. And his sister is a baby. Oh, God. All right. Well, now we're going to have to do this. Okay. I wasn't expecting that. And the reason why that's a concern is going to be, I guess, a subject for another stream, really. We're just going to be focused on the interview stuff. Okay. So, go back to where I left off. So, they'll be gathering information about the household, about who's all there, and what are they doing. Okay, just try to paint a mental image, a mental picture about what's going on. All right. I'm dropping frames again. Of course, I'm always dropping frames, aren't I? Once they do that, they will then kind of get, they get more. They get like how the child got to school. Like, did they take the bus? Did the mom take them? Did the dad take them? Did somebody else take them? But, dude, there's some situations where I had some weird answers that seemed like they could be very shady. But then you ask more questions like, oh, wait. For example, I think I was talking to some 8-year-old. I think they were 7. Maybe 7 or 8. I asked them how they got to school. They're like, a man in a van took me. A man in a van? A man in a van? What kind of van? It was a white van. Man in a white van. What man in the white van? What's going on? See, like if you didn't know anything, you may be like, "What's going on?" A man in the white van took this kid to school. But you ask more questions, be like, "Oh yeah, yeah." My mom saw me. My mom lets me go in that van. Takes me to school every day. All this stuff. You'd be like, "Oh. Wait a second. Are there other kids in the van?" Yeah, there's other kids in the van. Oh wait, okay. Wait a second. You mean like a daycare? Do you go to a daycare? Yeah, I go to a daycare. It's like, oh, that's like that's a daycare rider. Okay, that's what that is. You know? But if you didn't know that, and if you stopped asking questions and went all to like super concern zone, like, oh my God, there's like something going on here with this kid with a van, you might jump to conclusions. And don't think caseworkers don't do that. They most definitely do. Most definitely do. Let's see. So yeah, they try to get information about how the child got to school, what the morning routine is like. Are they doing their hygiene in the morning? Are they eating in the morning? Are they eating at home? Are they eating at school? What's going on there? Are both parents at the home at the time? One parent at the home at the time? No parents at the home at the time? Are they home alone? What's going on there? So definitely ask about that. Let's see. Then he asks about, what about getting home from school? I mean, it's a very thorough interview. What about getting home from school? How do you get home from school? Who picks you up? Take the bus? Okay. If you take the bus, who's home when you get home? You're walking? Who's home when you get home? Oh. Your mom's not home? Your dad's not home? Who's home? No one's home? Okay. All right. And based on the age, you might be like, okay, that's fine. The state of Texas doesn't really have a specific age when a child can be left home alone. So there's no law. There's no age. It's kind of, with that, you kind of, I guess based on the situation. Obviously, an infant or a 3-year-old shouldn't be home alone, right? Seems very, very crazy. It's scary. But what about like a 10-year-old who has the maturity of that of a 14-year-old or 15? Whoa. Not just any 14 or 15-year-old. Well, let's say a 10-year-old that has the maturity of has a really good maturity level. Like very capable, very aware, seems very on point on things. Can he be left home alone? And for how long? For a couple hours? Till mom comes home? These are things you have to think about, and you may try to gather more information about what's going on, especially with the child. See if they have like medical needs. If they're home and their mom's not there, no one's home there. How do they get snacks? Do they get food? Do they get mac and cheese and put it in the microwave? Like, what do they do? Are they playing around with the stove? What's going on? You just ask a bunch of questions. It is a bunch of questions. All right. It is what the caseworker's doing is pretty much getting to know the ins and outs of your family, what's going on a daily basis through your child. Then they'll ask, well, I usually ask this too. Is there anyone you're afraid of at the home? Not really asking, are you afraid of your mom? Not going to ask a leading question like that necessarily, I don't want to do that. Now, some caseworkers may. But is there anyone that you are afraid of at home? Now, of course, they could say yes, say no. They say yes, okay, like who? My dad. What do you mean your dad? Like, how so? Tell me more about that. My dad yells at me. Your dad yells at you. Okay. How? Like, tell me more. And that, I just want to gather more information. I just help me understand. You said your dad yells at you. Okay. Tell me more about that. What's going on? And my dad yells at me. Okay, well, what does he say? He says that I'm lazy, not doing my chores, things like that. It's like, okay, all right. Is there what else is going on? Is there something else? What else is going on with your dad in these moments? And because I don't want to, I try to be careful. I don't want to put the words in their mouth. Like, is there? I might ask, is there something else too? But there comes a point during the interview where you may just specifically ask, does anyone well, you're definitely gonna ask this. Does anyone hit you or spank you in the home? Yes, no, okay. If they say no, well, then it's kind of like, well, okay, is a no an honest no? What's going on there? Like, so what happens when you have a bad day at home? Like, let's say you do something and you get in trouble. Like, you don't do your chores. And I may ask me, do you have chores? What kind of chores do you have? Like, how often do you do your chores? Okay. And what happens when you don't? Oh, your dad yells at you. Okay. Does your dad yell at you other times? No. Does he call you names? Well, sometimes you'll say stupid. Or is he, and I'll ask him, is he calling you stupid, or is he saying what you're doing is stupid? Because, those are different things. So I try to like get that information. I kind of want to know like what's going on there. Right. Because when I'm doing at least in my approach anyway, not every caseworker does this, but my approach anyway was like, I don't want to get like I'm not looking for gotchas. I'm looking for what, like the full scope, the full picture. I want to know what is going on. And if you say you're afraid of your dad, okay, help me understand that. What is he doing? And why is he doing it? Now, of course, if the child's talking about like, my dad punches me, okay, well, tell me more about that. What's going on? I'd say the child says, my dad punches me like, chest and the back. I'm like, chest and the back. And right then and there, you start asking, do you have any bruises or marks on you? And if they do, okay, where? And they, point to their chest, point to their back. Okay. Can you show me? And they can show you. And you take a picture of it. Before you take a picture, you ask them, hey, all right, do you mind if I take a photo of that for the case file? And they can say yes, or they can say no. But most likely they're going to say yes. Because why are they going to say no? And they'll say yes. And you'll take a photo of it. And there you go. If there's no bruise, well, okay. And sometimes you could take a photo of that to show there's a lack of bruise. Sometimes the case might be on the intake, it's saying there was a bruise or mark. But you get there and you talk to the child and they say that they don't know if there was a bruise or mark. They said that there was to someone that they talked to at school. And you ask them and you see there was no mark. Or if there was, it's very faded. And it was somewhere that it's not like a significant body part, like an arm or a leg or a thigh or something. Now, hold on. As a male, if there was ever a case where I'm talking to a girl, and there was concerns about bruising, and there was like marks are gonna need to be seen. I would always, and I mean always, and if we're at the school setting, I would always go to the school nurse, okay, and they would be there, okay, to check, because I'm not doing it. I'm not going into that. The job already is Allegation City, left and right. Okay. Anyone could say anything about you at any time, and all you really have is the recording on that laptop to back you up. But it's just audio, no visual. So yeah, CPS workers are they can ask to, dude, they will ask. They will ask to check the chest or the back or various parts of the body to see if there's bruises or marks. Okay, they will do that. All right. They will try to get information about. Okay, definitely more information about discipline. You know, what happens when they get in trouble. Okay. Is it physical discipline? Are they being spanked? Are they being punched? Or being slapped? Are they being grounded? How long is the grounding for? And what do they get grounded for? You know, things like that. Kind of get a feel for it. Oh, okay. When you get in trouble, your parents just talk to you and your mom just kind of yells at you. Okay. And some stuff seems pretty average, pretty normal. You kind of get like a baseline for it the more you do it. You know, you'll hear about the chongla, or let's say right, that the flip flop. You hear about that, and it kind of almost becomes like almost like a joke, a meme, right? And it's like, well, in the state of Texas, it's legal for you to spank your kids and to hit your kids, as long as it's not like a vital body part. That's not what the statute says. The statute says, the statute for physical abuse says of an injury of substantial harm. So an injury of substantial harm is definitely not a bruise on the rear. And I don't think a bruise on the back wouldn't be substantial harm. There's some areas where you might want to get another opinion. Like if there was a bruise in the chest, probably have that examined. Have that examined there. If there was a bruise on the face, that's bad. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're definitely gonna be looking deeper into that and that one there. So this is all going on in the interview process, right? And think about this: when this is happening in a traditional case, you weren't told anything yet, right? You, the parent, don't know what's going on. And you're at work, and little Timmy Smith is being interviewed. Okay. If it's a alternative response case, after they talk with the family as a collective unit, all together in a meeting, they will then ask to speak with your kids privately with what they call a meaningful conversation. Now, there's no real training per se, or there was, and things could change. Okay, that's why I'm hesitating. There was no real set way to do the meaningful conversation. And I hate it when the agency does that. They'll tell you to do something, but they're not really going to tell you how to do it. They're not going to really give you like a set of like, not necessarily questions, because they don't really do that anyway. They're not going to really give you any sort of guideline at times. And it's kind of bullshit. It's kind of like, so I'm just here to kind of figure it out. Okay. All right. Okay. But I would do, just to cover my rear end, is I would treat those interviews like a mini version of like a traditional interview. So I'll do the building rapport, which I probably would have already built during the family meeting, and then set the truth and lie parameters, and then kind of ask them the basic questions. And I'll just tell them that I already know who you are. I know who your mom is and dad is and all this stuff we all met. But this is just so that we know that, you're being honest here, and it's all for the record, that we have it down right. And I can just kind of go through that way. All right. Now let me back up. Let me just go back to the interview process. Okay. Because I was talking about right then and there, like how I guess the difference with an alternative response case and how you may do it. But generally speaking, going back to just the interview itself, after the discipline stuff, you're going to probably get into domestic violence. That's when I would usually get into that. Is there fighting in the home? Is there fighting in the home? And a lot of times, you will get a yes sometimes. The yes may not be the yes you think it is, but sometimes it is. The yes might be, yes, there's fighting in the home. My brother keeps on kicking me. Your brother? Yeah. I mean, how old is your brother? Okay, he's like a year older than you. Okay. Well, I'll talk to your brother about that. He shouldn't be kicking you. What's going on? Are you taking this stuff? You know. Sometimes it'd be like, yeah, my parents fight. Your parents fight. Tell me more. What's going on? Well, they yell at each other. Okay. Tell me about that. What's going on? What's going on when they yell? Like, where are you when they yell? Oh, I'm in my room. Okay. Do you see them yell? They yell and I'll leave. I'll leave from my room. Okay, so you hear them yell. Okay. Do you hear anything else? No. You're trying to get to, is there any physical violence between, or how bad is the yelling between the mom and dad, without outright putting the words in their mouth. The moment you do that, see, I'll do these interviews as if another attorney, as if an attorney was going to listen to this recording, and be like, what's going on there? Is he leading? What's going on there? And I said, no, damn sure, at any case, at any time, something could escalate and this thing could go to fucking court. Shit. So I'll be like, okay. All right. So you say you're fighting in the home. You say your mom and dad are yelling at each other. Do you know what they're saying when they yell at each other? I don't really know. Okay. Do you know what they are arguing about? Not sure. Okay. Now this part's hard. I mean, sometimes you have to outright ask, does your mom do you ever see them hit each other? And don't just say yes or no. Okay. Those close-ended questions, I don't like using them so much because once they say no, okay, well, am I going to throw in a couple more like probing questions, try to see if I can see if that no is really a no? I may do that. I may do that depending if the case is definitely more about domestic violence. But if they're saying no, nothing going on there, they yell, they argue, but they don't hit each other. It's like, okay. Have the police ever been to the house? No. Okay. It's even late for me. Look at that. I'm staying late so I can do this. Wow. Man. But it's a thorough interview. It is a thorough interview. Okay? At least for the most part anyway. I mean, other caseworkers, they do things their own way, and some cut corners. There's always that. I mean, you think about this. You want the interview to be thorough, but at the same time, when you're doing the interview as a caseworker, you know what else is happening? You're getting additional cases. You think about how thorough that interview needs to be for it to be done 100% right. And you have all these other cases coming in. And on top of that, no. Let's back up. You have other kids to see on the case you're working on then, in the moment. And then you have other cases being assigned to you that have a bunch of other kids. And they're at different schools. Maybe you're in a county that's very spread out, so there's a lot of time driving from one point to the other point. You see them all. And it is a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. That's why caseworkers are pushed to do sloppy work, pretty much. Do sloppy work, do shady work. It happens. But that's a stream in itself. Why caseworkers cut corners and do shit they shouldn't do. Now, during the interview, they will ask about drugs and alcohol. Do you know what drugs and alcohol are? They'll say no, or they may say yes. If they say no, they're like, okay. Do you know what beer is? They may say yes, but they may not think it's alcohol. They may not connect it really. You just kind of figure it out. They say yes, be like, okay. What are drugs and alcohol? Like, what are they? What do you think they are? If they could outright name the type of drugs, what's going on, like cocaine, meth, heroin stuff, and they're like 10 years old, well, it could be a red flag. Maybe not. Maybe they play Grand Theft Auto. I don't know. Maybe they watch a lot of cops. You know? Or maybe they know things that they probably shouldn't really know about from first or second hand, you know? So what you'll do then is ask about, you know, did they see the drugs in the home? Did they ever see that? Did they ever see their parents use things like that? They may say no, but like, okay. When your dad's home, you know, what does he like to drink when he's home? You know, he might get stuff there. If they say like soda, Dr. Pepper, or water, it's like, okay. Is there anything else? No. You know, you're just trying to get information, right? You're just trying to gather as much information while you can. What about your mom? What does she like to drink? You know, do your parents smoke? And now, you know, and of course here, if they describe what sounds like a cigarette, it's like, okay, that sounds like a cigarette. It could just be a cigarette. But if they describe something that sounds like a joint, it's like, okay, well, what's going on there? You know how it smells. Now, of course, if the kid doesn't really have much knowledge on it, then all you're really getting is a bunch of no's, and I'm not sure, I don't know. Say, okay, well, I mean, we don't really know, and probably not. Okay. After the drugs and alcohol, then comes the doozy of a question. And this is the question that I hate asking, but you have to ask every time. This question is uncomfortable to ask every time, as it should be, as a grown man talking to these kids. But one of the last questions a caseworker will ask your child, keep in mind this interview is, if it's a traditional case, you have no idea this is happening. One of the last questions they'll ask them is, we'll ask them about sexual abuse. Now, they will usually start it off by saying, we all have parts in our body that no one's supposed to see or touch. Do you know what I am talking about? They may say yes. They may say no. Okay. If they say no, we're like, okay. If they say no, okay. So like, you're if they say it's actually, I don't think I've ever had them say no before. You know, I don't think I've ever had them say no before. I can only imagine if they said no, if they didn't know that, then that right there might be a flag there, because then I'd be like, well, where do you pee from? Do you know what that is? And I'm, well, yeah, okay. What do you call that? They'll repeat the name, regurgitate the name the parents told them to say. They may say penis. They may say, I've heard many things, coochie, whatever. You know, all flower, heard that before. All this stuff. It's like, okay. Has anyone touched you there? Let's say yes or no. If they say yes, okay. And once they say yes, you are mentally already set for, okay, we're going to move this on to a forensic interview, but there's still so much more you have to get. Like, has anyone asked you to, has anyone ever shown you images of people, of kids or adults, naked? Yes? No? Okay. If yes, who? Okay. Has anyone ever asked you to take a photo of those, of that part? Yes? No? Things like that. I mean, it is an awkward part of the interview, but the reason why you asked that is because there are fucking predators out there that will take advantage of those kids. And I've had it on several occasions where I thought it was going to be a simple, easy case. And then when that question is entered and presented, I'm hit with a doozy of a response. There's one on my mind right now, and I turned around. I finished the interview, and that interview was actually done at the mom's apartment, so not at school. But the mom was outside the apartment, and I told her, I said, "Look, there's something you need to know. There's something you need to know. Okay, there's concerns that the babysitter that's been watching your little girl is doing extremely inappropriate. Like it's an area where it's hard to even say it. Is touching her sexually. And you just outright say it. You just outright say it. I mean, there's some areas, oh God, that job. In a way, I'm gonna leave it. I don't have to do it anymore. But that job, man, there's times, so many times where you have to break down very awkward situations in a way that's just matter of fact. And in that case, that girl did talk that there was this weird, the babysitter who was not related whatsoever. So because he wasn't related, that too, CPS, I wasn't, yeah, it wasn't really because they handled that differently. Like, because he wasn't related, my part of it was, okay, make sure he's not in the home and make sure she doesn't go over there, that he doesn't have access to it. And of course, in the law enforcement side of it their side of it is to talk to him and see if they have enough to press charges and all that. My side is just to make sure the mom's taking protective action against him. If it was a family member, like a dad or something, then it'd be like, okay, well, definitely be more involved in the what the mom and dad are going to do. And that was the mom handled that one fine once she got the information, restricted access, make sure the babysitter did not have access to her daughter. And that's one of those. That was a weird case. Anyway, so yeah, I explained to you the interviews, what the caseworker is asking your son or daughter without you knowing, right? But it has to be that way because there's people out there that coach their kids. All right, tell them what to say. Okay. I don't want the government to be all invasive in my life. I want to be left alone too. In a perfect world, we could have that. I don't know. What's better? What's better? To have it to where the government gets invasive and with CPS and asking questions to your kids, in case they could be abused or neglected, because sometimes some families do that. Or is it better for CPS to not do that, for the state to not do that, to not be invasive, to be involved in that stuff, and then the people who are abusing and neglecting their kids are just letting things go, are just I guess doing the stuff that they were doing without getting caught. I mean, the first option, it doesn't respect your rights, as an American, really. I mean, constitutionally speaking, it seems like it seems like I don't understand how CPS kind of really operate, but apparently it's legal. So yeah, the first option respects the rights, but then allows the first option doesn't respect the rights, whereas the second option does. But the second option allows people who are abusive to continue to be abusive. So that's something to think about. Anyway,